important one, because that also will be part of some assignment in the future. So transactions and triggers. So we'll see today what are transactions and triggers. And for your information, there are 2 files on Econistoga if you see in this week's lectures. So I'm using the PowerPoint one. I've just made few changes. I've added few codes in it. And for the reason that I want to give some more simplified examples, there are some few things that I've added to that. So they will be very helpful for you. So I'm using the PowerPoint one out of that. Like, you know, you'll find two 2 files on Econistoga in this week's lectures. And again, as I said, that I'm using the second one, the PowerPoint one. There is a PDF one which is already there, which was already there, but the PowerPoint one I've just uploaded today, and you will find that on your screen, like on your Econistoga shell for this week. All right, so let's start transaction and triggers. So it's basically a topic that will give us good insights of a different important concepts. So agenda for today is that we'll be discussing what is a batch, what is a transaction, what is error checking, and we have talked about error checking a bit before, but today we will practically see what is error checking and how do we handle that. If you remember that try and catching over there, we discussed in the last week as well. So that try catching and at error, we'll try to do those today. Then we have triggers, and you would appreciate the use of triggers as well, because triggers will be doing something very interesting for us that maybe our stored procedures used to do for us and things like that. So but today we'll see that how to go about the triggers and how to do all these things by using triggers. So triggers themselves, they are of many types, but the two many like popular one, or the one that we use is after trigger and instead of trigger. So we'll just try to look into these after and instead of trigger. All right, so batch, let me just take out a pen. So batch, it's a client-side concept. Like client-side concept means multiple SQL statements submitted at once to the server, passed as one entity, syntax error caught at compile time, entire batch fails, name resolution takes place at execution time, batch runs until error encountered, go is used to end the batch. So we have, if we are just silently, bluntly giving some statements of, for example, insertion of, for example, maybe deletion, maybe creation or something, then we say that basically we are doing that in a batch form, and they are the simple statements, and we use this go to end those statements sometimes if there's a batch of statements. And then there comes transaction, which is interesting and important. Server-side concept, it's basically a server-side concept of why it is server-side, because we'll see that it really gives us the sense of that server-like feeling to us. Multiple SQL statements together in one transaction, and we'll see that this transaction will be playing a very, very important role. So changes are permanent when commits transaction. So transaction has these two inherent actions related to it. One of the action is commit, and as you know, as its name suggests, that commit means now we want to just permanently implement that transaction. If you are permanently implement something, then this will be called as you have committed a transaction. This is the step, this is one of the action that we take after a transaction. Then there is another action which is called rollback, and I hope you know that rollback, as its name suggests, that we don't want to do anything what has been done. For example, there were 4 lines in SQL statements, maybe in transaction. The first line successful, second line successful, third line successful, fourth line was not. And I say that no, I don't want these 3 lines also to be successful or to go about. I just want to roll back my transaction. So whenever you do rollback transaction, so that means we don't want any previous things also to implement, or those temporary interim changes that our line of code, for example, this line would have produced some code, or maybe changes this line and this line. But whenever we are because of this line, for example, we say that rollback, and if we are rolling back means we are just not taking into consideration any changes that were made. So rollback transaction is again a failed path. Failed path means if we just don't want anything to be permanently written on on a database. Maybe it's an insertion operation, maybe it's an update operation, maybe it's any operation. If at any point of time, if I say that I want to roll back means you don't want it to happen. So you have to just remember these two, not remember, we'll be just using them quite often now. So you must know that what is going on over here. Okay, essentially the statements between the begin transaction, which is trans. So we can use, we have tran over here as well. So tran, we'll be using your name too much today. So begin tran and commit tran act as a unit. So we have begin tran and commit tran sometimes. So we'll be this will act as a, you know, the block where we will be just writing our all transactions. Right. So transaction more explained. I've just, this is one slide that I've added for from myself because I wanted to give you a bit more description of few things. Oh, sorry. Let me just look at quickly at, maybe sometimes some people are waiting in waiting room, so no there. Anyhow, so a group of commands that change the data stored in a database. Of course, we are talking about the transaction. A group of commands that will be doing what? That change the data stored in a database. So they'll be working on what? They'll be changing our database in a data, which is data stored in a data. It is treated as a single unit. Of course, this transaction, when we'll call it something as a transaction, it is treated as a single unit, right? Either all or none. So it's a very interesting concept. Maybe like as I said about the rollback, if you remember, that rollback does what? That either all or none. So we are talking about the rollback. If out of four transaction, out of four statements in a transaction, first successful, second successful, third successful, but the last one was not successful. So we say that either or none, either all or none. So if all four were successful, we could have done that commit transaction. But if any one of them has failed, we'll do what? We'll do rollback, and we'll call it either all or none in that case. So modified data rollback if any statement fails. That is what I'm talking about. The rollback thing maintains integrity of data, and you know it will be maintaining integrity of data, and we'll see example very shortly that will be explaining us that. So it's basically a step. If you want to do that, these are the transaction processing steps. Begin a transaction. We begin a transaction. Process commands. Of course, we'll have some commands that will run. And check for errors. If there is some error, you do what? Rollback transaction. And if there is no error, you do what? Commit transaction. And we cannot see the uncommitted changes, and more on that later. We'll see that uncommitted changes, we cannot see that what happened in between, before that error. So as I said, there were 4 lines, and this line went successful, this line went successful, and it made some changes in database. By the way, it made some changes in the DB, it made some changes in DB, it made some changes in DB. So, you know, we'll see that today, that how we can just handle all those things. But this line got failed, and we did that what? We did that rollback transaction. And once we did that rollback transaction, what happened is that the uncommitted changes which were here, for example, here something changed, but after that everything will be on its original position. So we cannot see those uncommitted changes. Now I would like all of you to just open up your Management Studio for that matter. So I've just so I hope you can all see that Management Studio now, and we'll try to do something interesting, and we'll try to see that what does that transaction does for us, and what is that transaction all about. So all of you have this Management Studio open with you. I'm expecting everyone to have this open. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Ethan, and thank you, Marisa. Yes, now you have that. So, okay, so I have got I've just created one table with the name of accounts, and it has nothing but only a single line over here. And maybe just insert into, let me just insert into this accounts one more line, and 2, and Mark, and 2000, just for checking purposes, and we'll see a few things. Execute, and now we'll have these 2 lines here. So all of you can open any table. I've just opened up my index demo, which we have already used. So if I do everything selection from accounts, I can just find out that I have now two values over here. So I would be expecting all of you to have of any table in which we want to see something, or we want to just show something. All right, so this is one transaction. This is also one transaction. This is also one transaction. And these transactions will be called as the implicit transactions, or which are not requiring any begin or end or anything at all. So they are called implicit transaction, and we'll see that you'll realize that. Okay, if I do this begin, and since we are writing it for the first time, so I'll write complete begin transaction, and I write again maybe select static from accounts. Right, so I have done begin transaction, select a static from account, but I have not done anything to end this transaction, right? So now please go and execute that. We get the result. Good, nothing wrong about it. Now let's open a new query, everyone. And let me just take this out of this window so that we can see the difference in these two. All right, so now we have this another window which can be like another. So I hope you are able to see both of my the environments of Management Studio. Are you able to see both screens? Like I have two screens open. Okay, Mohammed, thank you very much. Right, so now here I am doing something, and an implicit transaction I'm writing here. Now we are familiar with these two terms. And if you see that we are basically looking here is right now it is just showing it, showing everything. Let me just run this first. And let me just, okay. So what I want to do here is, for example, I want to do update accounts set, for example, ID set, maybe balance equal to 5,000. Let me just put that in the next line so that we can check. All right, where ID equals to 1. So I've just written down one transaction, and I've just again I've just started that transaction. I've just begun that transaction, but I have not done anything at all on that. Okay, so let me just run this. So one row affected, so it has made some of the changes. And now let's run this one, like I'm running this one. Now do you see that this query is not giving me the result? Anyone, why it's not giving me the result? It's executing. If you are able to see, it's not giving me any result. Anyone would like to tell me that why it is not producing a result and it's not giving me start accounts? Anyone? Like the concept, there is a transaction in there's other transaction going on. Alex, thank you. And Nathan, right now there is one transaction which is going on over here, and it is not allowing me to execute this transaction. Why? Because this transaction has, one way or other you can call it, that it has a locked this table. And why do we say that the transaction is still going on? You remember that we have not done any commit till now. So unless you done a commit, or unless you done you do basically a rollback, you won't be able to see this, like this query won't execute. So I hope everyone is getting the point about the transaction. We have begun the transaction is started, and we are updating accounts like table set balance equal to 5,000. We want to change the set balance where ID is equal to 1, and we have already done it. If you know that, if you talk about that, it has already updated that account. But here what is going on, that I am unable to run my query. Why? Because this has been locked by this. So now let's do one thing. Commit transaction. I've just done commit transaction. Okay, I'm just first of all stopping this one. I've just stopped this one, cancel this one, and now I will just run. Or maybe you could have. So now I've again done that, and I've just begin a transaction, update account, set balance equal to 5,000, ID is equal to 1, commit transaction, and now run this one, and I'm running this. Oh. Why it's not showing now? It should show now. Begin transaction and commit transaction. I first committed that one. Okay. Still not giving result. But why? Am I doing something wrong with the syntax maybe? Not at all. Syntax is correct, but looks like something wrong with my. Okay, this query, like you are talking about the select query, Jen. Okay, all right. Maybe that is the problem. I don't know because this. No, it's not working for me till now. Anyone else? Like it worked for anyone else? Oh, it worked for you. That what's wrong with me? Okay, anyhow, let me just close this session and let me start another query. Maybe let's see if that works. Anyhow, it should work by the way. Accounts and then F5. Oh, it's not committing my transaction time right now. So how many of you are able to work with it? Like John is successfully done it, and Alex has successfully done it, and rest all of the people. How many people are able to run that? It worked for Alex and John. And how about the others? Oh, that's good. That's good. Working for people, but why it is doing something wrong with me? All right. And for Tran, it's working. That's good, Tran. And rest, like there are 4 or 5 people who have responded. Daniel is also working. Marisa is also working with it. So that's good that you people are having this, but why it is not doing in front of me? Let me just see that. Let me just change that and ID equal to 2, for example. Let me just run that query. Oh, previous one is still running. Okay, it's not giving me even 2. So what is going on here? I hope you like again, because you people have just followed me. So if it's working for you, it should work for me at least also. All right. Yes, okay. I think I did that as well. Maybe. Yes, maybe you're right. Okay, query was canceled. Same. So that's very interesting. All right. Still the same. All right, let me just try that as well. Like it should work. Anyhow, if it does not work after that, even you'll just leave it because it's working for you. That's very good. But okay, so for example, let's So am I doing anything wrong with commit? Because you see that when we have done that rollback, it's now executing. So did I do something wrong in commit maybe? Because now it's working for the rollback, and it's of course it's showing the same the previous one. And of course it will also work. It will show 2000 for that. It will show everything for that. So commit transaction, maybe I'm not, I don't know. Anyhow, so the thing is that what we wanted to see here, that you see that if we have just begin a transaction and we have not done, again, as like it's not working for me right now, but again it's working for you people, that if you have just begun a transaction and you have not either rolled it back or not either maybe commit that transaction, you won't be able to see the results from the other window, from the other session. So this is the thing that we want to discuss. Again, let me see, I'll just run more examples. Maybe something is going wrong with my okay. So one of the thing that I can do, okay, so let's do that as well, and this will give us another thing as well. So there is something called, we can set transaction isolation level uncommitted. Let's see if that works for this query. Maybe set transaction isolation level uncommitted. What is wrong with it? Oh, read uncommitted. Sorry, read uncommitted. So I have to do read uncommitted. Read uncommitted. All right. So now if I do that, and let me just run that. So now it's successful, and let me run that now. So now you see that again, that uncommitted. So for example, like now again, I'm just removing that rollback, and I'm just trying to commit this transaction. For example, I want to commit this transaction, and this transaction is committed. That means the data should be changed. And if I check it over here, you see that John is showing 5,000. And let me just see here. And what I'm doing over here is now I run this query and select status, and it's also showing. So now, it's basically, I have just already committed it. And let me just again just remove that and change it to 8,000 and run that one. You see here. So one row affected, but again, since this transaction is going on, so let me just do this or run this transaction. Right. So you see now I'm getting the result. And what result I'm getting? I'm getting the uncommitted result. So you see now, this is one way of setting the isolation level of your transaction. So this is one topic that has automatically come over here. So if you set transaction isolation level read uncommitted, we'll see all those levels shortly, and we'll be discussing all of them completely. So if you do set transaction isolation level read uncommitted, and then you run your query, so whatever is uncommitted will also be shown here, which does not look good, because this is something that we want to save ourselves from. But again, it is showing us the uncommitted data, which was 8,000, which is not committed as yet. And you know what can happen? That rollback transaction. If I do that rollback transaction, maybe, right? And I've done that rollback transaction. And if I now I've just rolled back this transaction, and now I'm just running this one, and now it is showing 5,000. But again, by the time, if I did not have, like, did that rollback transaction, and before that, if I would have accessed that, then let me just show you that, and we will use that also. Wait for delay. We can do a wait for delay over here, 0 hours and maybe 0.5. So I want this transaction to do this and then roll back after 5 seconds, right? So this was another topic that we'll be discussing later on. But right now, what you see is that, again, that if I run this transaction, right, and I want to roll it back after that 5 seconds, so it will take some time. And during that time, what I do is that I run this command. Okay. Oh, it's not showing the 5,000. Why? It's showing this still the 5,000, or 5 seconds just, okay, 5 seconds just elapsed. So I want to wait it for 10 seconds right now. Now let's run it. It will take 10 seconds maybe in rolling back. And in the meantime, if I run that, so you see here what is going on, that now from this window I'm getting what the response as 8,000, and you know the real response is not 8,000. If I again run it, or maybe run it for the second time, so that select static from accounts. Now if I run it, you see what will happen. Of course the result should be 5,000, but it was showing what, the 10,000 8,000. Why? Because this transaction, now please everyone, this transaction was doing something. It was waiting for some delay. It was some, we intentionally made some delay. It was doing something else. So first it set the balance to 8,000, and then when I run accounts, select static from accounts from this window, it showed me as we can just quickly see that again, this transaction is working on it. And if I run this transaction, you'll see 8,000, which is not the correct amount. I hope everyone is getting this. Please everyone write in chat window so that we move forward. And we have seen this transaction level setting, that we can set transaction isolation level, read uncommitted, read committed, and we'll see what are those different options that we have. Okay, thank you. So 4 or 5 responses I've got, that now you are able to successfully run that. Anyhow, so now this is basically a method, and we have not done that error checking, and we'll see that error checking over here. Now see here, this one is I've taken for some other, but we can just implement that. So begin transaction, set update countries for where country ID is equal to this, rollback transaction, commit transaction. If you check before any other session, query won't respond. That is what we have just checked. No. So if we do that, set transaction isolation level, read uncommitted, and then do select static from countries, now we'll get the uncommitted transaction result. So again, as what we have seen, that if you do that level, isolation level, you set it to read uncommitted, now you will be able to basically access that uncommitted data as well, and that uncommitted data would be visible over there. There is another example that was already in these slides. So let's just see that again. Begin transaction, insert into region. So they are working on that maybe Northwind table. So region, you place these two values inside it, and select a static from region, insert into territories. So they are inserting something, values, and this commit transaction. This will make it a complete transaction. And you know, this transaction contains 1, 2, and 3. So we have now three statements inside that. And first of all, it will be inserting values 5 and Europe. Then it will be selecting everything from that region. And then it will be inserting something into territories region. And this is very important, because this is the concept that we'll use in our triggers as well. And we will just see that. So there are 3 transactions running, transaction 1, three statements running inside this transaction, 1, 2, and 3. And these 3 become altogether, these 3 become a one transaction. And this one transaction, if it is successfully done, then it would make changes in maybe in these 2 tables, region and that, and it will also show the data in between that. So first of all, inserting the region, and then inserting into territories, and then trying to find out those values. So implicit and explicit transaction, I've already told you implicit and explicit transaction. Anyone like to tell me that what is implicit and explicit transaction in the chat window? Anyone? What is implicit and explicit transaction? We have just unseemingly we have discussed about both, but we discussed about at least implicit transactions. Anyone? What are implicit and explicit transaction? Yes, anyone in the chat window? Select a static. What is that, Alex? What is this example of? An auto commit. All right, that would be implicit. Yes, yes, you're right, Alex. Select a static from countries will be, and what will be an explicit one? Maybe anyone, or John, or anyone else, Ethan, or anyone else maybe. What would be the explicit then? The one that we are looking on our screen right now, right? So explicit is again when you specifically say that something like a transaction is beginning. So when you begin a transaction, when you commit it or you roll it back, when you have say commit, yes, exactly. So the block of statements, if you are running the block of statements and you are starting those block of statement as well, and you are just committing that block of statement, or maybe you are just rolling that back, then you will call it that transaction as, you will call it that this is an explicit transaction. Okay, right. So by default, a single SQL statement is treated as a transaction implicitly, select static, as Alex said. select statement don't count, statements don't count. So again, selected statement don't count means again you have one query, so insert or delete or whatever you are doing, so that will be treated as a. So if not in transaction, an update on a number of rows will be rolled back if an errors occur during the update. So if you are not putting it in a transaction, an update on a number of rows will roll back if an errors occur during the update. So explicitly, if you are doing something, so explicit also, it would just do what, you have not put them in a transaction. So if you are updating maybe 2 or 3 or 4 rows, and then they will be rolled back if an error occurs during the update. So if update has an error, so it won't be affecting those things. Using begin tran and commit tran around the statements is an explicit transaction. So explicit transaction is basically what? It's basically a block that contains begin and commit transaction. So error checking. Inside a transaction, a failed statement generally does not cause a rollback. Execution will continue with the next statement. It's a very interesting concept, because we talked about here in an implicit transaction, when we talk about an implicit transaction, that if you are not in a transaction, that means implicit transaction you are. So in an implicit transaction, if you have made all those roles, and an error occurs, this update will be failed. But here what we are saying, in a transaction, a failed statement generally does not cause a rollback. Failed statement won't be causing a rollback, rather we'll be continuing. Execution will continue with the next statement, and we'll have that next statement continue with the execution. Why? Because we are inside a transaction. So this will just keep on doing that. And again, after that, what we'll be doing, exception is a system. So after that, what we'll be doing, that we'll be just checking that if that error has occurred. If any of these statement has an error occurred, what we'll do is we'll just try to roll that back. So exception is a system failure. When started again, the pending transaction will be rolled back. So again, we'll be checking what? Exception. You remember we have already done about that, the try and catch blocking. And here also what we'll do is that we'll try to use that try and catch blocking. And try and catch blocking, we'll try to catch the exceptions. You remember I talked about that exceptions are basically those errors that are runtime errors, and they exit, like they basically happen when you are doing something runtime. Right, so developer must check for error and act accordingly, often executing a rollback. So that's very important, and we have to just keep in mind that we have to must check for the errors. And to check those errors, why we are checking this error? Because we want to act something according to that errors. And often we will do what? We'll just try to roll back that transaction. Why? Because that something wrong has happened. Should check for error after each statement by examining the value of this error. So again, you remember that this is a system variable with 2 @ sign. So system variable will check this error to check that, or maybe as I told you that we can do that try and catching block that we'll use, that we'll be using in one of our example later on. So if you see that begin update order set order ID, find whether order ID is equal to 10248. So we are just updating one statement. Update order set employee ID 6 where order ID is equal to 1028. And this transaction, for example, if you see, if the first update fails, the second line still executes even if it is not desired. So what happens if you are not checking that error problem? So this error, this statement was, this statement did not work well. This had error, like this failed. But still this second statement got executed. And why it got executed? Because we have done what? The commit transaction. So it will do what? It won't affect the first statement's failure, is not affecting it, even though of course sometimes we'll be depending upon these 2 statements, that if that get updated, that should also get updated. So if you are trying to do that, and if that something of this kind happens, what we say that we'll say that basically that second one will be running exactly. Now, to solve this previous issue, assuming the second statement should execute only if the first succeeds. So we are again assuming that this second statement should also fail if the first one fails. The second statement should only work if the first statement works. So if we have to do that, you see here we have got one example also. We'll do that. Update order set customer ID is equal to y where order is equal to 1024. If error, so if at error is not. So again, if not equal to, this is not equal to 0. So if it's not equal to 0, that means the error has not, maybe the error has occurred or it's not. So if it has happened, so you do what? You are rollback transaction if there is an error. So if it is not equal to 0, so then begin rollback transaction, go to error label. So we have this error label rest of the program, and this end. update order set employee is good if error is greater, if is order is not equal to 0. So basically begin rollback. So basically we are checking if error is not there, and if there is error, so you do what? Rollback transaction. So whatever step we'll do that rollback transaction, maybe this step, maybe this step, it will just do what? It will just take all those transactions and it will just roll back typically to its original position and will reach to this error level. Error level means the rest of the program will just reach over there, right? So now, yes, now we'll just try to do that also in our on our program by using, not by using error. You remember that we can use this at error, and this was used previously also. But what we can use is the more advanced form of this try and catch. So what I want all of you is to okay, open up our SQL window, and sorry, I just want to keep it over here. Okay, so now what we want to do is that we want to just, we can just do that. Begin try. So we have not what we are beginning. We are beginning a try, and what we want to do is begin transaction. So begin transaction. So we have begin a transaction and update accounts set balance equal to balance minus maybe 1000. We want to make it like delete from ID equals to 1, and same copy and paste this one, and for ID is equal to 2. So we are just trying to transfer from one to the other and make it plus where ID is equal to 2. So what I'm doing is that we have two IDs over there, and what we are trying to do is that we are taking, for example, 1000 value from that the first balance of the first account, and we are trying to put that into that second. And now these transactions, if you see here, that now these two transactions are basically dependent on each other, and if one of them get failed, we want the other to also fail. Why? Because maybe this first account does not have 1000 in it. So if there is no 1000, this second transaction should also be rolled back. You say, oh, okay, Mohammed. Yes. So Mohammed, yes, the semicolons are, in this we can just left those semicolons out, and this works for us. The SQL, at least it works for us, and it does not basically creates problem for us, right? So commit tran, we are committing transaction, and now we are printing that also, so that it shows us that what we have done. Transaction committed. So it will just not only come like do that, and it will show us. So and try, our try has end here. Maybe you can use any syntax and try. And now what we'll do, we'll do a begin catch. I've started a catch, rollback transaction, and print transaction rolled back and catch. So as Mohammed said, this is too friendly for us, and it's not creating problems for us. So now let me just quickly see that if those two values are there, maybe. So yes, so John has 5000 and Mark has 2000, and now what we'll do, we want to run this one. Now all of you just go there and run this. So it says one row affected, that one row was affected. The first row affected, that we subtracted the balance from that 1000, and the one row affected, we added that balance to the other one. Now let's check that from the accounts. Okay, and also we get this message of transaction committed. So check that from the accounts. So now you see that 1000, oh, I did 1000, yes, 1000 has been deducted from this John, and it has been added to Mark, right? Let's do one thing interesting. Update account set balance is equal to, for example, 500, where ID is equal to 1. So I'm just changing the account like balance of this, and I'm running it as a simple transaction, so that implicit transaction. So now let's check it if it works for us. Yes, so it's now 500. Now let's try this one. Begin and we are just running it now. All right, so um, right now it is doing it, and how it is doing it, let's see that, because I just wanted to check, and we can check that the other way. So it has done, you know what, the minus 500. So it's basically taking that as negative. So, but again, if I do one thing, id is equal to maybe a. Now I made the another mistake, because you know it was checking for that 500, and let's change it to 5,000 or anything. Now we have made mistake in the other one. The second one is basically will create a problem. We are just trying to create a problem. Now you just run that. So it says one row affected, zero affected, and that then you see what transaction rolled back. Now what is happening, that the first row worked fine, the second row started, and here it found an error. Why? Because id is not an integer. Id has been given as a char, as a character. So if the second one is having an error, when we just checked it, that when we just checked this one, the failure occurred here. And when the failure occurred here, so it was inside a try block. It was inside a try block. So when a failure occurred over here, it went to the catch, and it said rollback transaction. So transaction has been rolled back, and we have not, like this minus 1,000 would not have worked, of course, that because we have just rolled back transaction. So you know it was minus 500. I don't know. Okay, I did not change that. I did not run that. Okay, now it is 5,000, and now I'm running it again, just for one more time. Begin try and begin catch. So now it has to come as what, like the balance should be coming in that way. So it's 5,000 still. Why? Because it would have changed this balance over here. But now what is happening is, since this transaction has been rolled back, so now we don't have this changed occur over here, right? So basically what happens is that one of the transaction, if that got an error, because this was inside the transaction, we have committed it, and if we are committing it, if again there is no error. But if there is some error, if there happen to be some error, for example, if I just remove this error and I do it in the previous one, so now it will just successfully run, and it will show that transaction committed, and it will also show the one row affected and one row affected to us. So transaction is committed now. So everyone clear about that? Like the try catch, the use of try catch, we can use that error, add error also, system variable also. So everyone clear about that? As a response in chat window, Melissa, all clear, Mohammed says. That's very good. Now let's move to next examples. So now we have just looked into something interesting, and we see that we have a transaction. We can just roll back those transactions in terms of if something wrong happens with it. Sorry. Right. So now acid test. So we have to do all transactions should be following this acid test. It's not PCR COVID test, it's acid test. Now, what is this acid test? A successful transaction, let me just take a pen. A successful transaction must do what? Must pass the acid test. Now, what is that acid test? See here. A is for atomic, consistent, isolated, durable. And we'll see examples of all of them shortly. Atomic, transaction not left half done, either committed or rolled back. You remember our first example? We saw that which did not work for me. So if a transaction is half a done left, it is not committed or rolled back. You remember in the beginning, I did not do that. I did not commit it. I did not roll it back. So if it is not committed, it is not rolled back, that means that transaction is not atomic in nature, right? So it's on in the middle, and it's not completed. It's half done. So a transaction, if it is to be a transaction, it has to be atomic in nature. It should end up at a commit, or it should end up at a rollback. And you know how this works with, or how this happens with the implicit transaction? Implicit transaction by default, they do a commit or a rollback by themselves, because if they are successful, again, so they are committed then and there. And if they are not committed, like of course if they are failed, like because of some reasons, then they are rolled back. So typically what they do is that they are taking care of these commit and rollback on their own. So every transaction, if it is to be a transaction, it should pass this A test from acid. So A is basically the atomic. Now, number two, consistent. All data must be in logically consistent state. Now, consistency is also one thing that we have just seen our example. And you know that if for example, we'll see some example, but you just remember this one, that all data must be in a logically consistent state. And it does not happen. For example, what we are doing over here, that we have done something with this 200, for example, and again, if transaction is not committed or something else not has happened, and it has to fail some point of time, and this transaction has happened and it has changed data from 1000 to 800, for example, if it was 1800, but now in between we are doing something else, maybe some other transactions are coming and they are trying to do something else. So data is not in its logical persistent state. Why? Because it was 800, it was changed by this, and maybe there was something else that had to happen over here, maybe something else we have to happen over here. So that is, your data must be in a consistent, logical consistent state, and it has not to be it's more like that same half a done transaction. That data should also be in a consistent state, and whenever new transaction comes and it tries to access that data, it should get the consistent state of data, not an inconsistent one. Now, isolated, it's a very interesting one. Transaction must affect data without interfering with other concurrent transactions or being interfered by them, so that uncommitted information is not presented if it is rolled back locking. So you remember again our first example, isolated said the transaction must affect data without interfering with other concurrent transaction or being interfered by. So basically, a transaction should not be interfering other transaction, or it should not be interfered by the others. Why? Because we want to have an isolated transaction. So you remember when I did begin, again, which was not working for me, but it worked for you people. I did begin, I did not commit it. So, you know, one transaction was doing something, and the other transaction from the other session, it came on and it tried to access that same data. So what happened was that a transaction were not isolation, like not isolated, both transaction. So it basically failed over there. So that's why we say what? If a transaction is started, like it has to be atomic one, so it should be completed. So isolation also refers to that once a transaction still is in use, it should not be interfered by the others. It should not be interfered by the other. So the uncommitted information not presented if it is rolled back. So of course, uncommitted information should not be presented over there. And you remember when we introduced that delay in our transaction, it was basically presenting the wrong data, and we'll see that how we can just come up this solve these problems. Durable. Once a change is made, it is permanent. It's very important. The data is restored to its original state in case of failure, power failure, other failure. So once a change is made, it has to be a permanent one. It is not something that would be changed now, at least by that transaction. We are not talking about the other transaction, but that transaction, once it has made some information, like, you know, some changing in the data, that data has to be the permanent in nature. Now the data is restored to its original state, or again, if it is a power failure or if it is any other failure, your exam, like, you know, your query does not work fine. So data should be restored to its original position. If you are not restoring data to its original position, it won't be a durable data. Why? Because data would be in between a transaction and the change. And if you have made a change and if you have committed a transaction without any information, then that should become a permanent affair. Now that should not change. So this is the acid test: atomicity and consistency and isolation and durable. So you have to just keep that in mind. I hope you must have known that before as well. So common errors, that the errors that might occur, and I've just added few slides for that related. Lack of permissions on an object. Sometimes you might have a lack of permission, constraints violation, duplicates during update and insert, maybe, and the deadlocks. We'll see deadlocks in greater details, not null violations, illegal values for current data type. So we can see all of them. These can be the common errors that might occur while you are working on a database. Now, these are the concurrency problems that I've discussed in detail here, and these are the concurrency problems that might occur during the transactions. What are those? Number one is called dirty reads. We have already seen the example, but we'll again see a little example for that. Lost updates, the other problem. Non-repeatable reads, the third problem, and phantom reads. So we'll see each one of them, and we'll just try to come up with a code with everyone. So again, these are the concurrency problem, these are the problems that are the errors that we should look for, that there should be no dirty reads on our data, and transactions. There should be no lost updates of our data or transactions. And there must be non-repeatable reads over there and phantom reads. We'll see each one of them in detail. Okay, before that, the isolation levels that we discussed, you remember, we have talked about one isolation level, set transaction level. You remember read committed you have used, and this, sorry, read committed is default. You remember it by default looks for read committed. But if you do read uncommitted, that is read uncommitted will give us dirty read. You remember it was giving us dirty read when my program was working fine. Then we have repeatable read. There is one another isolation level, and you might be guessing that for solving that non-repeatable reads, we will be using this repeatable read option maybe. And then we have a serializable one. And how we set transaction isolation level with complete word, read committed, read uncommitted, repeatable read, or serializable. So we have to just cap that. You can see chapter 12 of this book if you want to have, like, if you want to see the examples of that. So again, and one more thing, a very interesting thing. Let me just go back to my this window, and then we had another window open. You remember when I said that when it does it for uncommitted, and let me just again start that, begin that transaction, and I'm not committing it, right? I'm just in the middle of it. And now again, I'm just running it. And if I do that select status, it's giving me data. And this can be a good example of dirty read maybe, because the transaction is going on. And why it is giving me 5,000 over here? It was 8,000 before. Anyone in the chat window, why it is giving me 5,000 for John value? Anyone? Maybe John, because John's value has changed. Why it is giving me 5,000 over here? Anyone in the chat window? Okay, Mohammed, that's a very, very good answer. I need at least this IDK from everyone. You haven't committed the transaction. You are right, but why then it is giving 5,000? You remember it stopped my execution previously. So why it is doing that? No, John, it's not rolled. It's not rolled back. It's basically, it has just done this update, and when I'm checking it, it is giving me 5. So now please listen to it. Why it is giving? It is giving because of this isolation level. So it is reading uncommitted data as well. John, got the point? Alex, that it is reading the uncommitted data, right? Okay. Oh, now let's do one thing. Now let's do one thing. And what I'm doing, this is the default nature of it, and I'm running this query. I've just changed the isolation level. I hope everyone is making, and there is a transaction going on which is not committed right now. Let's run it. Hopefully it runs right, because it is more. So you see, now I'm unable to see data. Everyone can see that. Now, Alex, what we'll do, we can do, rather we are with this mode even, but we have something that we can do to even run that. So what we can do is, if you come here and you write no log, even though it's committed mode now, right? It's in committed mode, and you go here and you run that. Now you get the 5,000. Everyone got the concept of no log? So no log is one of the, you can call it, I'll just write it over here in content. No log is the overridden maybe isolation level. Is that bad practice? Seems like we should lock every time. Okay, Mohammed, be it a good practice or bad practice, this might not be an issue right now, because it will extremely look impractical to go to every table and do this no log. So now listen about it. We basically, why we do it, maybe sometimes in some certain situations you need to read some data that is under, this is uncommitted data. And you remember we talk about yes, exactly on that statement. Yes, you are right. It allows you the dirty read. So it is allowing us the dirty read. And why it is allowing us the dirty read? Because it is, as I said you, yes, Alex, you are very right. I told you this is the overridden form, or it's the inline isolation level. I hope you remember, or you know about the CSS levels, the cascading style sheets level. There are 3 of them: inline, external, and internal. Do you know that CSS levels? I'm talking about cascading style sheets. So Alex, yes, your statement is right. So someone knows about CSS, cascading style sheets, which we use in our websites that give styling to our web pages. Anyone knows that? Oh, okay, okay. Mohammed says it was inline and block. All right. So no, it's not a block, right? Rather, it is basically giving that. Okay, no problem. So it is basically giving that what? It is giving that select styling from accounts no log. So basically, no log is as you said, it's never a good practice. Never a good practice means you should not be doing that. It is allowing us a dirty read over here. And now if I just go and read that out, it won't give me. I'm not selected S, so it won't give me the result. So why? Because again, now I have that problem with it. I hope everyone is making sense out of it. So we have to set this level. So I was just telling you that this dirty read can also come from on no log, right? Whether you go for an uncommitted read, or again as an isolation level, as a block level, as a global level, so to speak. If we say it will be at a global level. But if you talk about that, if you want to do about a inline one, so you will do what no log in a particular statement. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Now, right, so the same thing and the same example, we have already seen that, and I just made this example for you people, but I won't be going into the details because we have already done that dirty read example. Now here we have this uncommitted one, or you remember I have done no lock one. If I have this no lock or uncommitted one, what we'll do? Begin transaction, update account, set balance 1000 is equal to where ID is equal to 1. Wait for something. So if you want to wait a transaction for something, you do wait for delay. And this is hours, this is minutes, and this is seconds. So please bear in mind, don't do it for hours or something. So we have done it for 20 seconds over here. And after that 20 seconds, we are rolling back that transaction. So now what will happen if I do this select style? We have already done that. We'll do that. We'll give that. We'll get that dirty read over here. 1000 it will be showing. Which one? What 1000 that it has updated over here. All right. So now, so I'm not taking this example because we have already done that. Another way to check is, as I told you, no log. So select static from accounts, no log. If you'll do, no log will do as same as uncommitted transaction. So dirty read problem might occur with a no log as well, or dirty read problem will occur with a uncommitted transaction, right? Lost update. This is something that we'll see, and we'll try to do that as well. Lost update. When two transactions working on the same data and one of the updates gets overwritten by the others. One of the updates gets overwritten by the others. Now, there is a very interesting concept that what we are doing over here. Let's see. We have a transaction. We are just starting a transaction, and we are declaring a balance variable. You remember we declared this local variables by using this @ sign one time. Select @balance is equal to balance from accounts where ID is equal to 1. So I have captured the balance of ID 1. I'll just run that as well. Wait for 10 seconds. Now I'm waiting for 10 seconds. Select balance is equal to balance minus 1 or balance minus 1000, whatever is there. I want to just do that. I want to subtract this 1000 or 1 or anything from this balance. Update account, set balance @balance where ID is equal to 1. Now you have to update the account, and this value, whatever you have set, you just take that value and set that to the balance and commit the transaction, right? So this is one transaction that we are doing. Now second transaction, begin transaction, same. It's exactly almost the same. Wait for delay. So delay is here a very less. It's only 1 second. So that means it will just quickly do. So set balance is your balance minus 2. So here we are just trying to do something else, and we are trying to just something. Update account set balance is equal to balance here. So it would have made some. So which one will execute first? This transaction 2 will execute first, of course. And this transaction 2 will do what? It will make some changes to the balance of ID 1. Now let's quickly go and run that one for us, and we'll just try to run that. And I want to just make it separately from there so that we can see that. Transaction 1, we are just checking that. So now we are begin transaction declare @bal integer. So we are defining select @balance equal to balance from accounts where, sorry, where ID equals 1, right? So we have just selected. Now wait for delay, and now see here, we are waiting here for 10 seconds, right? And now set at bal equal to at balance maybe minus 5,000. We are just trying to do anything at all, right? And then update accounts set balance equal to at balance where ID equal to 1, print at balance, and commit transaction. All right. So I hope you all have like seen that. Now I'm just making it a bit nearer to everyone, even though it's separated for the reading consent. Now what we have done, begin transaction, declare a balance. We have declared a variable, local variable, select balance from balance. So it will the balance of ID1 will be captured in at balance, and it will then delay for 10 seconds. Maybe it is doing something else. The program is the queries, or maybe transaction is looking for something else. Set balance is equal to balance minus 5,000. So after that, it is setting that balance is equal to 5,000 minus 5,000. Update accounts as set balance is equal to at bal where ID is equal to 1, and that is what. So this is transaction 1, and now transaction 2. Just I'm copying it, and I'll go to my next window, which is over here, and I'm just writing it over here, and I'll just make few changes. I'll do it transaction 2 now, and here I'll just remove 0, so it's for 1 second, and by 5,000 maybe, yes, we can do that as well, 5,000, and we account set balance, and rest everything is same. So just what I've done is just to lessen down the time, like the wait time, and then what I've done is that I have just, so you know what is happening here, what will happen, let's see, sorry, and here. So now we have two transactions, one of them which is trying to do that. So let's first of all quickly check what is inside that accounts right now. All right, so execute that. So you see that we have 5,000 for here. So again, that means that not do 5,000, let's do it 2,500 so that we can see the changes. 2,500. Now it means, you know which transaction will run first, run fast? It's 2, transaction 2. Why? Because it's just taking a 1 minute. And what it will do is that it will change the value to the 2,500. But then we will see that what effect that does it show. So plus, just keep in mind that right now our value is 5,000, and I go into this transaction and I just try to run that, right, which will subtract 5,000 from this, execute, and now execute this one as well. Oh, so my system has again started doing that same thing, maybe because it is not running this transaction, maybe. So all of you please check that, because I'll tell you, because if it's working for you, it will be fine with everyone. Okay, it has run, and of course it has made it 0, but we needed to run this. Maybe let's take out this delay maybe from that, and I'm just running it individually right now, maybe so that I can check if it works fine. Not at all. It's again, so there is something going wrong with my okay. So if you are successfully able to run it, I'm just assuming that you are successfully able to run it. So how many of you are successfully able to run both of the transactions? Not both of them, like this one, transaction 2 is running for them, and it gives result in a split second. I don't know why it is not doing it for me. Anyone who has successfully run transaction 2 before transaction 1? No one is able to run that till now? Just typing. Okay, okay, Alex, no problem, no problem. Let me just stop that. Let me just run a simple statement maybe to check what is going on. Set balance equal to, for example, 2500, where ID equals to 1. Just running this one maybe. Let's see if this runs for me. Oh, interesting. It is just, locking that accounts and it's not running for me at least. No statement is running. Single statement is also not running. And once that runs, it should run for. I think it should run for everyone. Let's see if how many of you can come up with a run of it. Oh, Steven, yours is also doing problem. Let me check. I'll check. Okay, so Steven is also having same problem. Let's see if someone else comes up with something else. If someone is successfully able to run that. So again, Steven, let's first discuss what will be happening by the time people are typing. Let's just stop for a minute. Marisa, you or Alex, Alex, you are typing, and Mohammed, are you able to run that? Okay, okay. Anyone can come up with a good news that they are able to run the transaction 2 before transaction 1? Oh, okay, Mohammed, no problem. Mohammed, it means looks like maybe let's wait for some others also, because Steven also is having. Mohammed, you can run that both of them. Oh, that's very good. John, yours is also updated. So John, your also is working. All right. Alex, you can run. Okay, that's very good. That's very good. It's a good news. Like, because I was thinking that might be there's some problem maybe from my side, or I should mind a 20-second delay through though. 20-second for which one? Transaction 1 or 2, Mohammed? For 1? Okay, for 1. You set transaction delay for 20 seconds. That should not that again that might be a problem, but again, that here we are not even able to run a simple update, and this is specifically 10 seconds. It's not more than that. So it's basically transaction is. Let me just delete that and maybe do it for 1 second. Let's try that out. Okay, this is done. It's minus 5,000, of course. Is it is done. So now you should run that. No, it's not working. Okay, anyhow, so for those not working, I'll just try to do that, and maybe there is something wrong, but again, if someone is able to run that. So you see what is happening. So for those who have successfully run it, for what is happening, that in that balance, this transaction is making a change before that, supposing that it was 5,000. So it will be changed to 2,500, and this transaction will run first. And if you again quickly check it before this transaction is completed, is done, you will know that now the balance of ID1 will be equal to 2,500. But what happens when this transaction is completed, when this transaction comes back to life and it is completed, it commits, so it changes that to balance from minus 5,000, and it has also read the previous balance. So what will happen, that the updated one which it has updated will be lost, and this will only be read. I hope everyone is getting that. That is the problem that we get, and this problem is called lost update. This problem is basically called as what? Lost update. Why? because the update from this update done by this transaction 2 was overridden by the transaction 1's update, and we don't see what transaction 2 has happened done. Now consider an environment where you are making an inventory software, and there is one transaction that is working on inventory, and you want to sell something from this transaction, and you say that you check the balance, and you find out that we have 50 in the account, and from this transaction someone has come and they have just changed and they have just sold something, and this transaction occurred quickly, and they sold maybe 20 units out of them. There are 30 units remaining now, and this one has already read that maybe 50 or whatever, and now what will happen that it will just do that and it will update that value. Now that problem is basically called as what? The lost update problem. So again, I don't know why we were successfully. So how many of others have done it? Because I can see successfully, um, successfully Muhammad is able to done that successfully, and like Muhammad B, and John has done updated, and Alex has done updated. That's very good. Okay, okay, no problem. You too, Daniel. Yes. So is there someone else who has done that successfully? Okay, Marisa, that's very good. Marisa, you can see the result. Like your transaction 2 is working fine. I don't know what's going on with my transaction, but I'll just try to settle that up. All right. And how about the others who were having problem? Did you try something different maybe? John, not John. It was Muhammad M. Muhammad Babuji, you were having a problem, and Steven. So did you people try? Sasha, your work, that's very good. And how about Steven, Steven and Muhammad Babuji? Are you able to run that maybe? Something changed, some values changed, something you changed. Anyhow, so okay. Okay, Mohammed, you got it to work. That's very good. That's very good. Maybe after changing some. Anyhow, so let's take a quick break of maybe 15 minutes. And how much time break do you have usually? Like a 15-minute break one, or maybe 10 minutes, two breaks? I think you were said that 15 one or 10 two. So we are just taking a 15 one, right? So we are taking a 15 minutes break now, and I will be back at, it's 9:20 around. So I'll be back at 9:35. So you also just go and stretch, or maybe have a cup of tea or something. All right, so we are back. Okay, Marisa, good to see you. I hope you had a nice break. Right. All right. Yes, I can see Muhammad and Alex, Sasha, Ethan, John. Good to see you all back. Right. So let's start from where we left. Let me share my screen first. All right. So you can see my screen with lost update. Okay. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Alex. Right. So we talked about lost update, and I hope now you have the good concept of this. Lost update means that some transaction updating in between, and those transactions are lost. And why they are lost? Because the other transaction which was which has basically overridden those values. So we'll see that how we can solve. If we introduce this set transaction isolation level repeatable read, then lost update can be solved. Now, for those who were successfully able to run their code, I will just ask all of them that what they need to do is that on this first transaction one, for example, you do set transaction isolation level. And what is that isolation level? It's repeatable read. Should be a single word, repeatable read. Yes, if you do that, and after doing that, for example, if you just run this one, okay, is that repeatable read 2 words maybe? Repeatable read 2 words, that syntactically it has to be. Okay, so now if you do that and then you check that that same transactions again, unluckily I was unable to find out what was the problem, but still, if you can just run that transaction, and this transaction is doing minus 1000 or whatever, and we do this transaction in between. For example, it was for 1 second. Now I'm again doing it for 10 seconds. So this is going on for 10 seconds, and I'm again running this one. Let's see what happens. And still, because it was not at the first place, it was not showing me the right result. But can you people just check this results with that set transaction isolation level repeatable read? Can anyone come up with what is happening? And I would like someone to just share their screen and just share that, so that we can see practically. If someone successfully tests that set transaction isolation level repeatable read, and then check what it is doing, like again what is happening then. Anyone would like to just do that? Maybe Alex or anyone share their screen and share with everyone what's going on, so that we can see the impact. Yes, I'm waiting for someone to come up with this solution, and then what is how do those see the solution. Yes. Is there anyone who has done it and successfully saw what is going on, what is happening? Mine is killing it now. Says that the resource are locked and kills by second. Oh, that's very good, Mohammed. That's the thing that we need to do. So, Mohammed, do you want to share your screen? Is it possible for you? So that you can show it to everyone. Okay, okay. So I'm stopping sharing. Now you can share your screen now. All right. So yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
Yeah, so if I run like this one, if I run this one, if I run this one,
yeah,
and it's got a 10-second delay, and then I run this one right after,
yeah,
so both of them are going at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just keeps on waiting for the other one, like
Yeah, and then this first one completed.
Yeah.
So it was able to add stuff to my table.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that one completes, it gives me this error. I don't
Yeah.
know how small that is. I don't know how
Yeah,
to.
yeah. No, it's visible. It's visible. Yes. Oh,
Yeah, it gives me this error on the second one.
yeah. It was deadlocked on locked resources with another process and has been chosen as a deadlock victim. So what happens is that in repeatable code or repeatable read, what we do, it basically does what? It locks the transaction, like one transaction which has once started the transaction and read something, doing something else. It is logged for that particular transaction, and that's why. And one of the transaction will become the victim, deadlock victim. So what has happened is that it has made this second transaction, because it started afterwards. So it has made this second transaction as the deadlock victim, that I won't allow you to run anything. Why? Because there is some other one already writing on that table. So Mohammed, thank you very much. So Mohammed, it looks like your files are going very good. So I don't know what's going on wrong with me. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right. So how many else people others have just seen that and checked that as being done by Muhammad? Like Muhammad can see that result and everything. Are you people also able to see that after the repeatable read solution? Okay, that's very good, Alex, and rest. I would love to hear from everyone. Alex and Muhammad both are able to get that error, or get that working, because repeatable read has solved our problem of lost update. We are not getting a lost update. And once the second one, as Muhammad showed, the second transaction, when it is done, if of course right now it is giving an error and says that you have become a deadlock victim. But if it was successful, maybe, or maybe if you run it one more time, like after that the transaction is stopped, now you will see that you will get the updated result from the first transaction. So again, no transaction is being showing that lost update, and every transaction is having that consistent data with that. Okay, thank you very much. But again, I just did not hear from anyone else other than Mohammed and Alex. Are you people still trying it out, or maybe it's not working, or what is going on? Like there are few who have same problem as mine, but rest, I think there were people who were successfully testing it. Is there anyone? Anyhow, so let's move forward. Right. So we have introduced that, and we can check the previous code with the above isolation level, and you have done that already. So if you check that with that isolation level, you'll see that it is working fine for us. Now, non-repeatable read problem. Now we have discussed repeatable read as an isolation level, but now we are seeing that what is that non-repeatable read problem? You remember we discussed there are certain concurrency problems. So dirty reads we have talked about, and what was the solution of dirty reads? Anyone in the chat window? What was the solution of the dirty reads? Anyone in the chat window? I hope people are up and they've not gone sleep. So what was the solution of dirty reads? We did not explicitly discuss the solution of dirty reads, but we know what is the solution of dirty reads. Anyone? Set transaction isolation level read committed. Yes, Alex, that is the solution of dirty reads. If it is uncommitted, it will always give dirty reads. As you remember, we did that in an inline as well. And what was the solution of lost updates? Lost update solution was again repeatable read. You remember repeatable read, you have just done that as being shown by Muhammad. Now we are talking about this third problem, and which is that non-repeatable reads. Non-repeatable reads. So what is that? When on transaction one, this is not on, this is one. When one transaction reads the same data twice and another transaction updates the data in between first and second read of transaction one. Okay, what does that mean? This is transaction one, this is transaction two, and these are very simple one. So transaction one, it reads select balance from accounts where ID is equal to one. It has read that, and whatever is the balance is being coming to us, and then wait delay for 10 seconds, and it is waiting for 10 seconds, maybe doing something else, and then it again reads out that data. Okay, so since it is waiting for this 10 seconds time, what happens is there is one another transaction which is implicit transaction, we are just using it, and this implicit transaction that what update account set balance is equal to 5. It has automatically set that balance is equal to 5. So again that means whatever was read over here, maybe it was 500 for example, or 5,000, and I ran this transaction, and since it was an implicit transaction and there was no beginner, there was no timing lapse or anything, so it returned quickly, it changed the balance to 5. Now this read the balance for the first time as 5,000, and for the second time it will be checking it and it will be reading as what? 5. Why? Because some else transaction came in between and it has changed the data. I hope everyone is getting that. So non-repeatable read is again that we are repeating the reads, but again the readed repeats are having different values, and desirable is that every repeating value should be the same as being read by us for the first time, right? So that is non-repeatable read. And again, what will be the solution of this non-repeatable read? Should we discuss that? It will be repeatable read. So if we set isolation, again same here, if we set repeatable reads isolation level over here, then this won't happen. Again, same like lost updates, because previously you are looking that one transaction is doing update and we should look for that update, or we should wait, we should not allow that update. Here it is allowing that update. So again, if I do the repeatable read, both of the problems will be solved. Not only both, actually the one problem is being solved by the both of them. Now happens when one transaction executes a query twice and it gets a different number of rows in the result set each time. When a second transaction inserts a new row that matches where clause of the query executed by the first transaction. Now phantom reads is what? That you are checking or you are running one transaction that executes a query twice. So we have to run a query twice. It gets a different number of rows in the result set each time. Okay, so now we are talking about some data, and I would leave that example to you and I will check that example. So some data which has, for example, 313, in the same our balance example, there are 5 IDs, and I'm running a transaction that is checking, for example, from 1 to 3 IDs, and let's suppose we don't have a 2 ID over here, right? So first of all, it was that. So when I read for the first time the 1 and 2, it returned me 2 rows, for example. And during that transaction, maybe now it was waiting for something, some else transaction come and inserted a value of 2 here over here. And now when I again run that query from 1 to 3, I was checking between 1 to 3. So now I get 3 results instead of 2 results. You got the point? This problem is basically called as the phantom reads problem. I hope everyone is good with it. Now, I would love all of you to just write a code example for that phantom reads. Again, we have to read a record, and maybe you can calculate the number of rows in something, and from 1 to 3 or anything, you are counting the number of rows, for example, and you come up with a value. For example, for the first time, you will be coming up with the value 2, and then you run another transaction, maybe on the another window that inserts a value 2 in between, and then you again do that counting, and then you come up with a solution at 3. I want all of you to just write this example code, and I will just look to maybe 2 or 3 of them other than this, like Muhammad and Alex, again, who are actively just replying to everything. I would just like you to do that phantom read. So you have to just create this phantom read problem by your code. I hope you got the point. You got the question, everyone? Alex and Mohammed, I won't be looking to answer from you, because you people are already giving those answers. I would be looking some other people to just come up with a solution. So I need you to write 2 transactions. One transaction running running a query twice and finding out the number of rows, and the other transaction is basically doing what? Is basically inserting one record, and inside that record, which is basically accessed by that query, and that query when runs again, it gives a different result. Question clear to everyone? Okay, Alex, thank you, Alex. But I don't need answer from you again. As I said now, John, I would love to see answer from you, like the reply from you. So can you make a code that is doing this and do transactions? Ethan, yes, I know. I was just joking. So Ethan, just try that, and that will be very good. But looks like, Ethan, if you just keep on just replying, maybe as Mohammed did IDK, I don't know, that will also be a very good answer, because that shows that you are with us. Yes. So who is coming up with the solution? Oh, okay, Marisa, you're not clear about that. I'll just make it a bit clear. So Marisa, you have, for example, you have a transaction that executes a query, and that query, for example, you say that let me just write one query, where ID greater than, for example, 3, or maybe ID in between 1 and 3. You are finding a query which asks for ID between 1 and 3. So 1 and 3, what I said in the beginning was that, for example, if you have record this 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, whatever, and you run that query, that all those IDs which are in between 1 and 3, you see that 1 and 3 have only 2 queries over here, like 2 results over here. So Marisa, what it will do is that it will generate a result that you have 2 rows matching this criteria between 1 and 3. Marisa, got the point? The first point, you got it? And then I'll just tell you the rest. Okay. Now, Marisa, what is happening, that this query was again, like you run this query again between 1 and 3. And before it runs again, there was another transaction in between, which comes and which write a record with 2 ID. You got the point? Now it means when I will just again run this query between 1 to 3, it won't generate 2 results, like 2 records. Rather, it will generate now 3 records. Marisa, got the point? Now 3 records. Now it means that same query, first it was just generating a value 2, because 1 and 3, there was no 2 over here, like no 2 ID over here. But now we have that 2 ID, because that has come from somewhere, and our transaction was waiting for something, again waiting for 10-20 seconds, and someone else has come and put in something over here. Now my query again ran between 1 and 3, and it tried to find out, and it said that we have 3 records. So this is called phantom reads, that now you're not reading the same number of records, or you're not getting the same number of results from one query because of the write of some other query, right? That's very good. So Manisha, now try that out. If you can just try that on code, you have to use that between and something. If you can just come up with that. All right. So what is so bad about a phantom read? Updating our tables in real time is okay. No. Okay. Okay. Right. So what is bad about that? So Mohammed, what is bad about phantom reads is that for example, you are taking some decision on the basis of number of records that are coming for a query's execution. I hope you will get the point. So for example, again, so if I run a query and I find out that there are two only records, and I have to do something depending upon those two records in between, for example, or maybe later on. What happens is that there is a insert operation in between, and I'm just talking about one record or two records or three records. Maybe you talk about there are thousands of records that come in between, maybe inserted between when my transaction was waiting for something else. So if that happens, is that I am working on those two queries which I read for the starting, that I knew that there are only two records that I need to work on. But then I had to run that query again, and I come to know that now I have not only two records, maybe I have five records, because there are certain IDs in between one and three which have been just inserted by something. Mohammed, you got the point. So phantom reads, you are right one way or other. Sometimes you say that it's not bad if it matches your needs. And let's talk about every isolation level or every concurrency problem. That sometimes that problem is a good for us. Like sometimes we want that if someone has made a change, that change should be reflected over here. Sometimes we are just stopping that by itself. Yes, yes. If the number of rows is important and you are looking for that number of rows, yes, you're right. Very, very right. So anyone came up with the code? A little code, maybe 4 or 5 lines. I was just asking, I would love someone else if they can just share their screen and share that code with us. Right. So let's maybe wait 1 more minute, and then if someone is willing, they can come. If not, then we'll just move forward. All right. Anyone ready with the code? Maybe now I'll have to just request maybe Alex and Mohammed as well, because no one is coming up. So let's see if someone comes up. Okay, anyhow, so we are just moving forward. Oh, I see. Mohammed, no problem, no problem. You can just try that out. And Mohammed, have you seen your, like, of course, you would have seen your table should be populated enough so that it returns you many results. Of course, you will be doing that. But anyhow, no issues. You can just check on that. I've just explained that clearly that what is required of you. Like again, it has to be a phantom share example. And let's move forward. All right. So after phantom reads, now, so phantom reads can be solved by using serializable isolation level. And one of the things very important that you have to keep in mind, serializable is the maximum level of isolation. This is max, which provides us the facility of solving all those problems, starting from dirty reads. So there were certain isolation levels which were providing one thing, but for not for the other, no, one for but not for the other. So serializable out this fourth one, this usually gives us the solution of all no dirty reads in serializable, no lost updates, no repeatable reads, and no phantom reads. So serializable is one optimum, or you can call it a premium solution to every problem. Now, so it's a maximum solution for everything. So which applies a range locking. It applies what? Range locking. It basically happens what? That it does that range locking. As we said that 1 to 3, if some one if a query has read from 1 to 3, then the serializable, if you have implemented the serializable isolation level, it will go and just lock 1 to 3 rows, and no one will be able to write anything in between them. I hope that is making sense to you. So serializable does what? It does range locking. That's the thing is. Now, an important point to remember, repeatable read only prevents update or delete of a value under work by other transactions, but not insert of a, someone might be thinking that repeatable read was also doing something like this, but keep in mind, repeatable reads only prevents update or delete. It prevents updates or deletes from other transactions, but not insert. So if someone is inserting something, please bear in mind that this repeatable read might does not take that care of that. So if it is not taking care of that, it means that it will be producing a phantom read. And again, in those situations, as being mentioned by Muhammad, in those situations where we the number of rows is important for us, right? Right, everyone. So on the other hand, serializable will both prevent not s, there will be no s here. So on the other hand, serializable will both prevent update, delete, and insertion together. So serializable will take care of everything. It won't allow an update. As I said you that this is one optimum or premium level thing. Serializable. This is again a 5-star isolation level that will take care of all, everything that we have done over here. So serializable is the solution to our phantom reads. Now, yes. So a new topic.